Hi, this is Yvonne McNary with Central Kentucky Television, and we're at the Marion County Public Library here today with Amy Morgeson. Good morning.
Good morning.
And we're here today because it's Banned Books Week. Now, I call it banned books, but you call it challenged.
Well, the technical term is banned books, but primarily the ones that we have on display have been challenged. They haven't necessarily been banned, at least banned from our library. So far, I've been here a little over 16 years, and we have not yet had one banned. And honestly, I've only ever had one even questioned, and it wasn't really challenged. There's a whole process you go through. So
yeah, explain that process to us.
If you find a book or movie or other item on the shelf that you feel has no redeeming quality whatsoever, and that's kind of the catchphrase there, because if you feel that, there's a form that you fill out. It's about 3 pages long, and you need to have read or viewed the item in its entirety. Fill out all the information, give background as to why you feel this. It goes before the library board, and we have a board of 5 trustees. Each of them either has to read or view or listen to the entire item in its entirety, and they must, as a group, decide that there is no redeeming quality whatsoever for that item. That is how it would become banned from the library. But a lot of people, after they hear the process, maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was.
That's pretty extensive, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, it's kind of a big deal, because if you think about it, if we started taking things off just because we didn't like them, we might try to change something. Maybe you didn't like something in history that happened, and so we'll pull that. And
pull it off the history.
Yeah, once it's gone off the shelf, somebody doesn't know about it, and that does make a big difference.
Yes, it does. So it is a process you have to go through.
It is a process
for banned books or challenged books. I know. Can you give us a little history on it, as far as when people started challenging books, or how it looks in the United States, how we do as far as challenging?
Each year there is actually a list put out by the American Library Association of the most challenged for that year. I'm not sure of the initial start date for that, but it's usually the top 100 challenged for the year. So that, if that tells you something, some books are on the list almost every year. Harry Potter, for the longest time, I think it's still on there. It may not be on the highest number. It's not number 1 on the list, but that one stayed on the challenged list for years and years, and is still on there. Every year there's, and there's books that are challenged that don't make that list. So,
so if I write a book and it's challenged, what does that mean to me as the author? Is can I not sell this book anymore? Can I not put it out?
No.
What does it stop me from doing if it becomes challenged?
Challenging usually is only done within a library system, so it's not going to affect the author per se. Actually, if it does anything, it's probably going to increase their sales, because if people hear, gee, what's all the hubbub about that? I want to find out, what's in that book that's so bad. They actually will end up with some better sales on it, but it's more in relation to libraries than anything, because a public library is one of the only spaces where you can go in and, I guess, bring that about. If it was a business, a business, it's completely up to their discretion as to what they're selling. But unless, I guess, it was just completely horrendous and all the business owners decided they didn't want that book on their shelf, then it wouldn't affect the author that much. It just may give them a little more, I guess, more of their 15 minutes of fame if they get noticed in the media for that. So.
Well, I know we've had some popular books here in the near past that people have questioned the validity of whether it's has any redeeming social value or whatever. Does anything come to mind for you?
I know recently at the high school there was an issue with one of the John Green novels. I'm trying to think of the title of that one. He's got several. Golly gee, that's awful that I shouldn't remember that one. I know that a lot of that had to do with the fact that of the age group that it was with, and that tends to be the factor. It's always usually children or teens that people have an issue with a book. And understandably so, but I think for librarians and a lot of people, our feeling is that each person has their own individual right to determine what their child does and does not read. And within a public library setting, you have you have ample opportunity to say no to your child. So, but we still want to be able to offer the book for someone. You know, someone else may want their child to read that book. So,
now, what types of divides do you have as far as children from what ages to what age read what types of books and all?
We do not determine what book a child can read. That is completely left up to the parent or guardian. And we always say that whenever someone signs up their child for a card, we explain it is your responsibility as the parent or guardian to have a discussion at home about what you feel is appropriate for your household. The librarian will not act as parent in your absence. So for the most part, a child under 11 has to have a parent with them anyhow. So we'd like to think that the parent's going to look at the books. If they're over 11 and they take them home, we like to think that the parent's going to look at the books when they get there. But we do not, unless the parent specifically comes in and tells us to put a note on their child's name, and they must be under the 18 for that to happen. We won't tell a child that they can't have a book. That's not to say that we won't steer them to another area if we think maybe there's a toddler trying to read out of the, might be a little bit too much heavy reading for the American history section and the adult side. We might steer them to the other side of the building and say, that, or if they're with a parent, we might say, you may want to talk to them about whether or not you want them to have this book, but we won't tell them no.
So you help them out a little bit.
We do a little bit, but we won't say no. It's their parent's decision. But if the parent comes up, we may mention, just so you're aware, they did check this item out, and just wanted you to let you know that, and then they can decide from there. And some parents, some parents may say no, and some, may say yes. So it's not that big of a deal, but still left up to them. So
all right. Again, it's Banned Books Month, and you've got a display back here with a few of the books. Let's take a couple of those titles there. Where's Waldo? Now, what would be a complaint about Where's Waldo?
Usually it's the pictures that are in the background, and it could be something as simple as that, maybe there's someone drinking in the photo, and there's some odd pictures in Where's Waldo. I mean, he's in a lot of different places, so he may be in a crowd setting. There may be anything going on, so it's just usually the background photo of what's going on with Waldo. I'm not sure. I know they've had Little Red Riding Hood has been on the challenge list. That's a favorite. I know. But in one of the editions of that, and there's numerous editions of the classics, she has a bottle of wine in her basket, and so that was challenged because going to grandma's. There was that bottle of wine. Somebody felt that was inappropriate for that age group, and so they challenged the book. I'm not sure if that library pulled that book or not, but the Three Little Pigs, that's been challenged because of I guess the violent nature of it, and then also that it may be offensive to those people that do not wish to eat pork because of religious reasons. I know. It seems, I think a lot of times maybe the adults will read a lot more into it than the kids do. And, for the most part, it's done in a lighthearted nature because the Three Little Pigs are not, I don't think they're trying to make a political statement, but they could. I guess they could be. I'm trying to think of some others that are back there. Scary stories to tell in the dark are too scary. So that was why.
Much too
They're
scary.
just too scary.
Yes, that makes sense.
But, you don't have to read those. So, and there's some that are not quite so scary. So you can always have the choice. A lot are young adult titles in those because that's an age period, time period, where it may be harder for the parent to realize that their child is growing up a little bit, and maybe they do need to read just a little bit above what they're thinking. And we keep those areas. We do actually separate areas of the library within the way we label our books. So in regards to that, we don't, we won't tell them not to read something, but we do try to label everything within the library so people know the young adult area is for those teens. It's any book where the character is 12 or above. We try to put that into the young adult section, and some of those may not even deal with any sort of teen angst. But just to be on the safe side, we'll put that age group, we'll put that character, if they're 12, we'll put them into the young adult area. Below that, they'll go into the junior section, and that's your chapter books, and most of those are elementary ages. And those, they don't deal as much with, don't have any romance usually in those, and it's more just a, you know, not necessarily a coming of age thing, and those young adult books are the ones that have that. I think that's the issue that we get a lot with.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your favorite band book?
The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. It's my absolute favorite book, actually. I have read it probably 3 times, and it's been made into a movie, and it's been on the challenge list, I'd say, for probably a good, at least as long as I've been here. So it's been on there for a while, but there's some situations that...
Major complaint?
I just, you know, there might have been a relationship between 2 teens that they didn't feel was appropriate, but in my mind, I see teens every day that have relationships like that, and they were going through situations that a lot of teens go through, but it's a really, really good book. It's a coming-of-age story and something that a young boy dealt with, but I don't want to give it away because it's got a twist.
Got a twist in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's really good, though. So
Okay, we love
it's a
those
good
books
book.
that have a twist to them, or movies or whatever with a twist.
Yeah.
That's always a good idea. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us today, what your favorite is. And I want to invite everybody out to the library this week for banned books. See if you can't come out and find a banned book to read. Ooh.
Yeah.
something that's been challenged. Thank you, Amy, for
Thank
talking
you.
to us
Thank you for
today.
coming.
And this is Yvonne McNary for Central Kentucky Television.